there, what's going on? I'm Darieth Chisolm. Welcome to Hustle and Heart TV. Following your dreams and passions. Somewhat easy when you know what those dreams and passions are. But what do you do when you find yourself in a place that you weren't dreaming about? My next guest, Naomi Homison, went back to her roots and pressed out some products that she's quite proud of these days. She's actually taken on a fairly old concept of juicing and brought new life to the juicing industry here in the Pittsburgh area. Her story up next on Hustle and Heart TV. Like so many entrepreneurs, I'm drawn to the glamorous, gorgeous, larger-than-life, iconic ideas and outcomes that represent success. I'm amazed at just what it takes to truly be a standout, a rock star, a millionaire, a trendsetter. It ain't easy, but somebody's got to do it. So why not you? I know it takes hard work and hustle to make things happen, but I also believe it's a matter of heart. We can manifest our greatest desires with a little less sweat equity and a little more divine guidance. Plus, be equally inspired by someone else's life story. I'm Darieth Chisolm. I'm here to help you unleash, unlock, and bloom your dreams in business and in life. I'm a speaker, author, entrepreneur, life and business coach, media personality, and video podcast host. Every week, my team and I uncover dynamic, authentic, heartfelt conversations to help you leverage tools and resources, make more money, live the lifestyle of your dreams, become a rock star, and love your journey. Naomi Homison of the Pittsburgh Juice Company. Thanks so much for being on Hustle and Heart TV.
Thanks for coming.
We are inside of your beautiful shop here in Pittsburgh where you create cold press organic juices. Why start a juice company?
That's a great question. I actually graduated in 2009 with a Master's of Architecture from Tulane University. And I found myself in a time where the economy was really not good for architects, and I decided to take it more as an opportunity to do something different before I really delved into my career. And I actually joined the Peace Corp and went to Peru. I was in Peru working in community development for about 3 years, and we're just gonna pretend that's an easy thing to put into a sentence. And when I moved back to Pittsburgh 3 years later, I was presented with this opportunity where my brother had recently purchased a building, and I and he are both very avid yogis. We practice yoga. His business is based around yoga, and in this building where his yoga studio is housed, there was a space that was to be a future cafe. So having come back from the Peace Corps, where I learned how to basically try new things and not really be scared of those things, I decided that I would try my hand at entrepreneurship and running a business. So from there, this cafe space that was left in the front of the building with the yoga studio needed a mission, a name, and that's where the juice company came in, which is really just a lifestyle. It's really just something that my family, the way fruits and vegetables can be so medicinal and make you feel is something my family has really just put into our heads from the day we were
raised
born.
you with it. I mean,
Exactly.
Your roots are, in fact, that of more organic, raw, real food. And it was what you ate growing up. You understood the value of it and the way that it made you feel. So
Exactly.
I guess it doesn't come to any surprise that it would at least come back into your life in a way that now you can share that with others and promote better eating, of course, juicing, and all of the health benefits around that. But to think to go from a career, or at least an education in architecture, to then the Peace Corps, and then now owning this company, that's that's a lot of jumps and leaps.
Right, it's a sort of hard trajectory to explain in one sentence, I suppose. Yeah. But it's amazing how all of the things that I've learned and all of the experiences I've had so far in my life have come together to be able to make me be able to be a successful entrepreneur. Whether it's from design, I actually designed and rehabbed this entire space that we're in.
Using
the
your
exterior
skills
facade
from school.
And the interior,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And my education enables me to do a lot of graphic design and fabrication, and for things that I use in the juice company every day.
Yeah,
So,
including your labeling, the branding.
Exactly.
I mean, it's clever, it's contemporary, it's inviting. I mean, you had to think around those aspects, and clearly you took your education in design and in architecture as a way to build the outside of it, but it's the ingredients on the inside that matter. So when you go about choosing the fruits and the vegetables to blend together to offer, how do you do that? What's the process of determining the ingredients in each bottle?
When we opened the juice company, we really only had about 8 products, and we tried to keep it very simple, very true to the nature of being healthy. So when you drink a juice, it doesn't necessarily mean that juice is going to be super good for you. It could be really sugary, it could be really high in acidity. So we focus on high alkalinity, on a low sugar content, and a high nutrient value. And in this way, the juice is very cleansing. The nutrients actually work to break down the toxins that have built up within your system. And the hydration actually helps flush things through. So, for instance, cucumber is one of the main ingredients in all of our green juices. And the reason is a lot of people actually think that cucumber is just very cheap and very watery, but that's not true. It actually has the trace element silica. It's very high in silica, which is common in our own systems. Silica is really great for rebuilding connective tissue and bone density. It's good for joints, it's good for hair and skin and fingernails. So that is a fantastic base to add in other nutrients that are found in spinach and kale and celery, and just having that whole cleanse.
So you look first at the alkaline level and what is going to be the best in terms of delivering nutrients, and then you think about taste.
Exactly.
Because unfortunately, I think what happens, I would assume with most people, when they go to drink a natural, all natural juice, they look at it and they say, oh, it's green, oh, it doesn't taste.
Right.
But you have to make it taste inviting so people will come back to. So how do you do that?
Well, our motto is, it doesn't have to taste bad to be good for you, right? So what happens at home when we're mixing in all of our heavy greens and maybe some fruits to make it taste better, and you might get creative and add something like garlic or like broccoli, and it's probably not going to taste that great. But what we do here, we actually measure every small batch out to the ounce to make sure that the taste is replicated, that it's the same and consistent every time. So if you come in and order our Witch's Brew, which is our #1 bestseller, you are always going to be having the taste of our signature Witch's Brew. So
that's really important to making sure that the consistency is there and it tastes good, and of course the nutrients are in place. So we have to think about all of those things to deliver a great product. But as you said, you've opened up and now expanded to bring in some additional food that is available for people. I'd love to look at that and how you made that determination, because I would think that in keeping with that idea that it just doesn't have to taste bad if it's good for you, you've got to be careful about that in terms of food choices, but then also putting in the mindset of your customer that they can come here and choose this daily, because it doesn't sit on the shelf for long. So we'll talk about how you keep that in the flow when we come back. Have you considered how podcasting and video podcasting can help you build your brand, influence, and income? Thousands of podcasters are enjoying the wonderful benefits of being able to closely connect with their audience, find their ideal clients and customers. And if that's what you'd like to do, I'd love to help. Schedule a free discovery call with me, and I can help walk you through the process of developing your own podcast show. If combining videos is what you're looking to do, fantastic. We'll have a great time doing that as well. You can simply go out to podcastingandyou.com to access my calendar and schedule a free complimentary discovery session with me. You can also give me a phone call at 305-320-8143, and we'll talk about all of the ways that podcasting and video podcasting can help you in business and building your brand. When it comes to food, family, and tradition, Atria's is your dining destination. Atria's has a passion for food, and it all starts with our culinary trained chefs. From the made-from-scratch rubs and dressings to the best in the burr crab cakes, Atria's prides itself in serving honest and real food. Come and see what makes us different at one of our 8 locations. We're now offering private dining, to-go, and full-service catering. Atria's, we're always changing courses.
Hi, I'm Bill Peduto, the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh, and you're watching Hustle and Heart TV with Darieth Chisolm.
So the business of keeping everything fresh and available for your customers is really important, especially when you are serving real, raw, organic food. Your shelf life typically is no more than 2 or 3 days, and I would imagine there's some expense around that. Do you end up throwing a lot out? Do you repurpose it? How do you keep your costs down when you've got a product that can only be on the shelves for a couple of days?
Another really good question. So one thing we do that is very interesting is we try to repurpose, you could say repurpose our pulp, the fiber from the juice that we press, and make foods with them. And we've come up with some very tasty foods that actually do come from the waste, the byproduct of our juicing. So one thing that is very popular are the Thai coconut fresh rolls. So we take the coconut flesh from the baby Thai coconuts that we crack. We add a little bit of cucumber pulp from our cucumber juice and a little bit of carrot pulp, and then put in a few sprigs of mint and basil, wrap it up in a rice paper roll, and then add a cashew sauce, like a cashew tahini sauce.
Wow,
So,
that sounds delicious.
Yeah, and it's a very low cost because, you know, it's dealing with the byproducts.
How did you make that determination? Because you had to think about the waste that you had and what to do with it, but you rolled out another product as a result of that. Was that just you were in the kitchen cooking it up? I mean, where did it come from?
This is another thing that's very much like ingrained in me from a child. Like, I hate throwing away food. And as owning a restaurant, it's almost an inevitable fact that you are going to end up seeing food wasted. But I do everything I can to avoid that. Another thing that we try to do is compost, and we are hoping to partner with a more large-scale compost company in Pittsburgh because we quickly outsource, outdo the capacity of most composts in the area.
And that's another stream of income for you.
Absolutely.
Then, right? Really smart in terms of doing that. You'll take the products that you can't compost and then, of course, outsource them as a stream of income. Really brilliant in terms of thinking about how to utilize what you have and expand upon it. But you've also created the line as a result of it being cold pressed and using that opportunity to keep things fresh. So talk more about that.
So the difference between a cold pressed juice and the typical juice that you would make at home, I have, and most people have, a centrifugal juicer. So this juicer, it sort of looks like a cheese grater with like a mesh around it, and the blades move around at a very high, like fast speed, and the friction that is created by this fast pace actually starts to cook the fruits and vegetables at a very like small like level. It starts to cook the enzymes, and that shortens the life of the live enzymes and the life of the nutrients in the juice. So when you make a juice at home in a centrifuge juicer, or you get a made to order juice that's made in front of you in about 5 minutes, then that juice is really good for you, but you're not going to want to let it sit around for a day or two and then drink it, because a lot of that value of being so fresh is going to be...
The enzymes are dead. Yeah,
exactly. So the cold press process is a little bit different because we actually have a hydraulic press. So we have 2 pressure plates that squeeze the fruits and vegetables, and that's where the juice comes from. So instead of going through this process of having a blade like cut through the juices, we're just like pressing the juice out. So in that way, we do our juices in very small batches, and we're constantly replenishing them. So that's another way that we stop a lot of waste, because as we just press a little bit at once and bottle that, then that's not going to go bad for the next.
Yeah, and I would think you're buying in bulk as well. I mean, we're literally sitting on top of boxes as we speak of fresh fruits and vegetables, and clearly you're just down the road from the Strip District, so it makes it easy for you to run down and grab things.
Not quite.
Not quite?
No.
No, why? What's the challenge around that?
Well, we use organic fruits and vegetables, and they're not very readily available, so we do have to order in large bulk from companies that are usually outside of Pittsburgh, and there is a small growing season in the summer where we can get a lot of our produce from local farmers, but we're generally sourcing from very far away.
So sourcing from far away, having to buy in bulk, but needing to sell the juice as quickly as you can.
It's very tricky.
What are some of your marketing practices? How are you getting people here?
Well, the best thing about our location and our business is the strong community that we are a part of. As I mentioned before, we're housed in the same building as a yoga studio that has an amazing community. And when we opened in the middle of February, after being pushed back for construction 6 months or so, it was really awful that winter, like negative 20 degrees. And we opened like a cold pressed juice company. So it just wasn't the best timing in the world. The hot yoga actually really worked well, like even in that time. And it allowed us to try things out, like create, a strong following from like this one community. And then to branch out, we use a lot of social media, and we really go out to events in the city. We target like post-workout, definitely. And over the last almost 2 years of being established, we've created much more of a destination than anything else. So people will come to us to get their juice because they realize what a time-intensive process it is. And they realize that although it might be a little bit pricey and it does have a short shelf life, they know that if they make it at home, for one thing, it might not taste good. And it is going to be quite expensive, and they're probably not going to be able to keep it for long. And then the time involved in getting the produce and bringing it home and juicing it themselves, it really is something that a lot of people no longer consider a luxury. It's more of a good value.
Your customers are loyal, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they know they're going to spend more money. They're going to have to travel to come and get it. They aren't necessarily going to make it at home. And if they do, as you said, they worry about the taste and keeping it fresh for some period of time. So that builds loyalty, I would imagine, with people who want to come in and try it. And so much so that you've created a couple of programs around that, including a juice discount program and the ability for people to bring your glass bottles back.
Yeah, that is a really great thing. We have our glass bottle returns, and these bottles are worth $1 when you bring them back to us toward your next purchase, which is actually, again, really good marketing when you have somebody who has maybe 10 bottles sitting in the bottom of their car, like just waiting to be returned. They're like, oh, I have to go to the juice company. Aside from that, and I'm a little bit tongue-in-cheek about that comment, but it is amazing to be able to reuse our packaging and not have to dispose so many plastic bottles or any bottles.
Yeah, it's a good thought to not only figure out what to do with the waste or what would have been waste, but repurposing some of the remnants from some of the fruit and vegetables, but then of course encouraging people to bring the bottles back and giving them discount as part of that. So that gives and builds that loyalty that so many business owners, of course, need and want in business. And so speaking of loyalty, We hope that you will subscribe to this show on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, we encourage you please to hit the subscribe button so that as we release episodes each week, you'll get it in YouTube. More importantly, you can subscribe online at my website at hustleandhearttv.com. Leave your name and your email, and we will continue to email you weekly episodes. So when I speak of loyalty, I hope that's the case for our new viewers and new listeners, particularly those that are big Pittsburgh Juice Company fans and those of Hustle and Heart TV. So we've got more with Naomi when we come back. I want to give a huge thank you to all of our sponsors and advertisers for Hustle and Heart TV. Thank you so much for supporting the show. It means so very much. And I'd also like to extend an invitation to you if you've got a product or a service that you'd like to put in front of our amazing audience. Simply request a media kit to look at the varying sponsor opportunities that we have for the show by sending me an email at info@dariethchisolm.com. That's info@dariethchisolm.com. I'll be sure to email you a media kit to schedule a time to talk about ways that we can position your product or service in front of our amazing audience.
The award-winning Savoy restaurant has become synonymous with fine dining, upscale ambiance, and a great destination for local and national celebrities to enjoy the night in style. The Savoy has won multiple Savor Pittsburgh awards for its delicious menu. Our wine list was awarded Wine Spectator's 2012 Award of Excellence, and the Savoy has also won the American Institute of Architects' People's Choice Award for its beautiful architecture and design. For dinner reservations and more info, log on to savoypgh.com.
Hello, I'm Joel Johnson, the co-creator of Boxy, the 3-in-1 desktop fab lab, and I'll see you on the next episode of Hustle and Heart TV with Darieth Chisolm.
Naomi, I love small business owners, particularly those who have a storefront or an opportunity for people in neighborhoods to walk in and really experience whatever the product or service is that the small business owner has to offer. I also love the hustle and the heart of an entrepreneur. I mean, it's no pun intended why I named the show Hustle and Heart. And when you think about some of the hustle, if you will, or the work that has had to go into building this and building your dreams, what's that been like for you?
It's been really hard at times. It's been challenging like nothing ever in my life before. But at the end of the day, it's something I would never take back. You know, it's been a really amazing growing experience. And I certainly am different than I was before I owned a business.
Yeah, you learn how to face fears and
Absolutely.
really get over them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any challenges that at some point you thought, that's it, I'm bailing, I'm out?
You know, well, I obviously never folded. I'm still here. But that certainly happens. Challenges happen, and I find now that I've faced so many challenges, I can look at them and say, I have no idea how I'm going to deal with this, but I'm going to deal with
this. Yeah, yeah.
And then I'll be able to look back as short as like 6 months later, and it will have totally blown over.
This too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so often we become aware of those challenges many months later, and we think, well, that was nothing. Of course, you don't want to say that because
Right.
then the next challenge presents itself. But you then have to know what it means to have heart and have the passion and the commitment to growing whatever that is. And so, what is your why? I mean, what keeps you doing this day in and day out?
Well, now that we are up and running, I would certainly say I have a lot of whys, but now that we are up and running and we have this loyal customer base that we just spoke about, and we haven't spoken yet about the amazing employees that I'm lucky to have. I would say those are my whys. My whys are my customers and my employees and my family, for sure. And seeing how every day people come into the juice company that are new and have never been here before, and how excited they are about it, and how good they feel after drinking juice, and how happy they are to find a juice that's so good for them but still tastes good. I mean, those are the reasons that I love what I do.
Can you appreciate, or what do you appreciate, I should say, around when you introduce someone who's never had fresh juice or experienced raw food or cold pressed organic juice, and they experience it for the first time and really come to understand the benefits from drinking it? What does that do for you when you know that you've introduced someone who's just never experienced it before?
It's great. I mean, that is a huge part of the validation and
The why in it?
the why.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Because sometimes you have to think about, obviously you serve an audience and a loyal, growing base, but then for the newbies who walk in the door who say, "Oh my goodness, I had this great juice," and what that
Yeah.
makes you feel like, I would think is great.
Absolutely. And the nice thing is that we have a variety of options. We have like the way to get into juicing. If you have never juiced before, you might want to start with like the berry watermelon because that's not threatening, but it still has a lot of antioxidants and a lot of benefits. And then as you get a little bit more keen on juicing, maybe you'll try the green juice, which is a cucumber-based juice, but it still has enough apple to sweeten it a little bit, and the spinach, but it's still super smooth and a little bit sweet. And as you can start to get more comfortable, then we can start getting them more into the ones that are like super nutritive and amazingly detoxing.
Yeah.
So
what's next for you as you think about where you're going in the next year, 2, 3, 4 years? What's the landscape look like?
So I would say this last summer, things started to even out, and I could really see where the business was going. I could see, predict what the sales would be. Things were on a good upward trajectory. Our feedback was good from everyone. Our brand is strong. It's getting out there. And, I could rest easy at night. And the thing is, as you can see sitting on top of all of these boxes here, we don't have a lot of space. And we really need more space to be able to expand in the ways that we want to. So a little over a month ago, we actually purchased a new property, and it is a former rock and roll pub. So it's definitely going to take a lot to
Transform it?
make it into a health food store.
Yeah.
So
From pub to pulp.
Yeah. So now we're really in the thick of it again.
Yeah.
Just trying to make location number 2 and the new concepts work.
Well, that's interesting because you probably thought that at some point you were coasting, as you said. You could see that things were leveling out, and here you dipped back in.
Absolutely.
So that you could grow and expand.
But I have to say, I wouldn't have been happy just leaving things comfortable. It's really something about the entrepreneurial spirit that you were talking about, that you never stop.
No,
you just get that urge to just go one step further and push yourself.
Yeah. How do you find balance? It sounds that you're quite busy. You're always dreaming of something. You're working in the store. And is it long hours? I mean, do you find yourself constantly putting in? Do you find the balance that you want? Do you have it, or are you still looking for it?
So I am very lucky in that my business is in the health industry and the health food, and very strongly associated with yoga. So I find my balance through drinking juice and yoga. I find a lot of people that do start their own businesses in the first year or 2 or 3 really kind of lose themselves and become unhealthy, and might gain a little more weight than they'd want to, and might just not sleep well at night. I really believe in the juices that we sell and how rejuvenating they are, and they really keep me feeling good.
Feeling good.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have the energy, even if you don't have the time to travel the world or do the
Yeah.
things you might want to do. At least you're feeling good.
And I just try to keep my eye on the prize, just keep working hard, and then maybe one day I will be able to just retire and travel the world.
Yeah. Well, you're very young, so you've got a long time to go in terms of the growth of your business and staying in it and hustling to make things happen. So one last piece of advice that you might offer to someone who is interested in starting a specialty foods or specialty juice company.
Can I give advice, more generalized advice?
Sure.
On opening a business? So when I first was making the business plans and just laying things out and talking to people about it. And even when we first opened, I found that everyone wants to give me advice. And I listened to everyone. And I wanted to take everyone's advice. And there was a certain moment where it just occurred to me that, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm the one making the decisions, you know? And I think it's really good to listen to everyone, but I think you need to realize also that you can't take everyone's advice. And not everyone's advice is good. So you have to really become particular about what advice you take to heart and what you just need to brush off. Or what advice you take and you put it in your 10-year trajectory, because you really just can't do it all at once. It's a controlled growth, I guess.
It's interesting. Don't necessarily take all the advice, listen, but then trust your own advice and your own intuition. Certainly. Naomi, thanks so much for being on the show. Really great information. Thank you so much for watching. And again, we encourage you to please share this through all of your social media. That would be fantastic. And also subscribe at hustleandhearttv.com so we can email you future episodes. So thanks for watching, everyone.
Are you looking for a career that pays great money, working with a fun group of people? I know, sounds too good to be true, right? Hi, I'm Troy Miles of the Miles Group.
We will train you, help you get your license, even supply leads. No cold calling.
I've been here 2 years and earned 6 figures this year.
I love my job.
I love the freedom and being my own boss.
If you would like to work among friends, have a great time, and make good money, call us.
Find out more at tmilesgroup.com.